Good morning, everyone. Yeah, we're waiting for the live TV. So we will start the program. Today's program is admin refresher program. So we will have a 2 days training. For today's training, Maggie, Binit, Shamin, and Sainal with a recap of Abhinesh will be in today's training. So before we begin to our formal trainings, can we call Mr. Binit to lead the prayer, please? May we all stand up?
Okay, team, let's bow our head. Heavenly Father, we gather here today for this workshop, seeking to learn, grow, and improve. We ask for your presence and guidance. May your discussions be productive, our insights clear, our collaboration be fruitful. Help us to listen with open hearts and to share our knowledge effectively. May the knowledge and the skills gained today empower us to serve our customers and our company, Jex of PNG, with great excellence and dedication. We commit this workshop in your hands. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. And before we begin, may we call on where is Timothy? Timothy, can you lead the morning energizer, please? All right, give your hand to Timothy before we begin, so that we refresh our. All right, come in the front, please.
All right, morning team. As usual, Rob. So when I say Rob, one, clap. Two, clap 2 times. And when I say team, all of you say Jex Waterfront. Sorry, Jex PNC. All right, that's it. Rob.
Sound check. All right, the first training that we will have on today's program is recruitment exit disciplinary procedure, attendance, performance, and gross misconduct, to be led by Mr. Benit and Miss Maggie. Are you ready? All right. Give your hand to Miss Maggie, please.
Good morning, team. Okay, my presentation is for HR, HR and payroll contents. First is recruitment process, exit process, disciplinary procedures, attendance, performance, gross misconduct, PMS structure, and timesheet process. Okay. HR recruitment process. The HR recruitment process involves a series of steps that an organization goes to attract, select, and hire the right candidates for open positions. An active recruitment process helps ensure that the company hires individuals who align with company values, culture, and job requirements. Yes, an overview of HR recruitment process. First, position is vacant. Store manager completes recruitment approval provided by operations manager, details submitted to HR officer. This is when the shop needs new candidates, they send requests. And it has to come with their manpower, how many are currently, and sourcing candidates. Manager refers already identified candidates if to HR office. This can include posting the job on your company website, which is the Facebook, using job boards, social media platforms, advice position, shortlist, and refers potential candidates to store manager. Interviews. Store manager interviews and HR officer starts the interview process and appoints suitable candidate. Store manager refers same details of suitable candidate to recruitment officer. HR officer conduct reference check of candidates. So this is the main part where I usually take responsibility of, but sometimes if we hire the wrong candidate, we don't do that, some issues after. The job offer. HR officer creates employment contract, makes the job offer to the successful candidate. Successful candidate signs employment contract and provides bank account details. For that contracting, sometimes some of the candidates, the store managers, just get them on board, which they don't need, they actually signs the contract. So we have to improve on that area too. Induction and on board. HR officer books successful candidate for induction. Successful candidates attends induction, completes new HR forms, takes ID photo, IRC, NASFAN forms, and ID with job description. HR officer notifies the store manager new candidates induction and the candidate is sent over to the store. Commencement. New hire with respective store or division follow up after the new employee starts. Follow up to ensure they are settling in well and have all the necessary resources and support. Recruitment process continues. Provide the new employee with information about the company, policies, and they have the necessary resources to start their job smoothly. Probation period. End of the probationary period during which the employee's performance is closely monitored before full confirmation of employment. That's the area where we are fail on, which we have to take responsibility to take the probation period, monitor every employee's in monthly. The confirmation process can vary depending on the organization, the position. Essential to adhere to legal privacy of the information throughout the process. Additionally, a well-structured confirmation process helps in making informed decisions and ensures the right people are selected for the organization's success. Second, exit process done through two routes: resignation and termination. Termination, we hope that your association with us is long and happy one. However, if you consider leaving for any reason, opportunity to discuss any problems you may be having so that we can assist you wherever possible. If you leave our employer, the following conditions will apply. If either party wishes to terminate the employment contract, 14 days notice will be required, or payment forfeited of 14 days pay will occur. Okay, this is when the employee resigns, he or she must give notice. Notice is 2 weeks, that's 14 days. If in the reasonable opinion of the company, you are found to be breach of company policy, involved or party to serious and willful misconduct, or not obeying lawful instruction, the company may terminate your service immediately. On termination, we need you to return all property to the company. Upon collection of all company property, you will be paid your final entitlements. Items belonging to the company must not be limited to company ID, company uniform, company employee handbook, and any other company issued item necessary to work in employee possessions. Business standards. All Checks Limited employees must maintain a standard of business efficiency and behavior that enhances the image of the company. All staff are expected to comply with the company policies and procedures as amended from time to time. An employee is considered to be presenting the company outside of normal hours when attending a company organized function, representing the company at other functions, or while traveling on company business. Within the company, all personnel are expected, regardless of seriously, or to show courtesy, respect, and understanding to other staff. Any behavior that either damages the company's image or brings the company or any of its employees into disrepute will result in appropriate disciplinary actions. Options language or gestures are absolutely forbidden in the company. The consumption, possession, or trafficking of drugs prohibited by law is forbidden on company premises. No alcohol is to be consumed by employees during their working hours, including meal breaks. Your presentation, grooming, and personal dress standards are reflection of checks of P&G standards. As such, all employees are expected to display following standards. Personal hygiene is very important. Includes, but not limited to, clean shaven or neat trimmed facial hair. Hands must be clean and worn neatly. Uniforms, business attire to be ironed and worn in a neat and tidy manner at all times. Company ID tags must be worn at all times during business hours. Breach of these business standards will result in disciplinary action being taken. Social conduct. Fighting and any other type of physical violence is unacceptable. A person who starts or becomes involved in any violence may face disciplinary action or even dismissal, and also face police charges. All checks of P&G management and staff are expected to display professional behavior at all times. Disciplinary procedures. Disciplinary procedures are the structured process employers use to address employee misconduct, poor performance, or attendance issues. The goal is typically to correct the behavior and maintain a fair, consistent, and productive work environment, rather than simply to punish. Key points of disciplinary procedures. Progressive discipline. 1, informal actions. For minor issues, single instance of lateness, performance lapse, the first step is often an informal conversation between the manager and the employee. The goal is to address the issue early, clarify expectations, offer support or training, and prevent escalation. Even informal conversations should be briefly documented for future reference. Verbal warning. It's formal but verbal. If informal coaching doesn't resolve the issue, or for slightly more serious first offense, the manager will have a formal discussion with the employee, clearly stating the issue, referencing company policy, and outlining expected improvements and consequences if the behavior continues. Although verbal, this warning should always be documented in the employee's file. Written warning. Issued if the problematic behavior persists after a verbal warning or for more serious offenses. This is a formal document detailing the specific issues, details of incidents, relevant company policies, previous discussions, warnings, and the consequences if the behavior does not improve. Suspension, final warning, and termination. This comes under the written warnings. The employee typical signs are the written warning to acknowledge receipt through not necessary agreement. Final warning written, final written warning or suspension. For continued issues after a written warning or for serious misconduct, these warnings the employees that their employment is at risk. Suspension. With or without pay, depending on policy and local law, may be used as disciplinary measures, often to allow for future investigation or as a final step before potential termination. Disciplinary hearing or meeting, often conducted before a final decision, especially for serious issues or when termination is a possibility. The employee is given written notice of the hearing, including the allegation and the evidence. The employee has the right to present their case, bring a representative, and call witnesses. All statements and evidence are documented. Attendance and performance issues. On attendance. Policies should clearly define what constitutes an absence or tardiness, excuse that's excuse versus the unexcused. Some companies use a point system where different attendance issues accumulate points, including leading to escalating disciplinary actions. It's important to differentiate between minor recurring issues, that's the persistence and tidiness for serious offense, that's no call or no show. Consider potential underlying issues like medical conditions, if it's continuous absence. Performance. Performance issues are often addressed through a performance improvement plan. It's the form that we use is the 4710 form. A PIP clearly outlines specific performance deficiency, measurable goals for improvement, resources or training provided, and a timeline for review. Regular check-ins and feedbacks are essential during PIP. This is the performance plan for the 4710 form that we evaluate the staff. If performance doesn't improve after the PIP, disciplinary actions, including potential termination, may follow. gross misconduct. Gross misconduct refers to behavior by an employee that is so serious it justifies immediate dismissal. That's the termination, without notice or pay in lieu of notice. It typically involves actions that breach the core terms of the company of the employment contract or demonstrate a complete disregard for company policies, safety, or ethics. That's theft or fraud, violence or threats of violence in the workplace, serious insubordinance, harassment or discrimination, being under the influence of drugs or alcohol at workplace, deliberate damage to company properties, gross negligence resulting in serious consequences, serious breach of health and safety rules. Key points. Employees are usually expected to investigate the matter thoroughly and follow a fair disciplinary process before taking actions. Employees may be suspended during the investigation, usually or on full pay. Even in cases of gross misconduct, the right to a fair hearing is important to avoid wrongful dismissal claims. PMS, Performance Management System. That's the structure. Employee group, PMS frequency. Next, PMS due. Okay, we have customer service associate. It's monthly, assessed monthly, and customer service managers, retail store managers, warehouse staff, warehouse supervisors, warehouse managers, admin or back office staff, corporate admin sales, corporate manager, senior retail, from corporate, all are quarterly. Every mid-month is due. Senior retail manager and senior executive is every 6 months. Timesheet process. Timesheet process is the main every pay period ending. This is the process of the timesheets. Run the BioPlus, and that gives the daily attendance of reporting to work for 12 days at work. Enter work hours, including SL, PH, and annual leaves, medical, all the documents for payroll. Make sure all total hours must be correct, include comments if required. Managers final check the hours. All the payroll documents must be attached with a timesheet. Sent to payroll for process. After this one is for filing. All the documents that attached with the timesheet will go in the personal file for all the staff. Timesheet overview. This is the timesheet that every fortnight we enter the staff hours. So all the fields in there must be filled. These fields must be filled. The documents that you fill the timesheet must attach with the timesheet, with the BioPlus report. That's for payroll verification. The keys are there. Make sure to follow the keys as the guide for your timesheet, date, and all staff work during the PPE. Sick leave. The staff FSL provided MC. If the staff is sick, must provide the MC. Public holiday hours must be entered as well. Missed overtime or double time, the overtime forms must also attach with the timesheets. Annual leave forms must also attach with the hours to be in the table for in the timesheet. Maternity leave is unpaid leave. Leave without pay is unpaid leave. And compassionate leave is unpaid leave. It's only 7 days for compassionate leave, if it's only your biological families. Thank you.
Thank you. So just like to add on a few things that what Margie has discussed, and probably we'll go group from the beginning what Margie has presented and discussed to take your feedbacks and views on what she has just presented. And also just to add on regarding the timesheet a bit. So the current key challenges that we are facing in terms of timesheet, we are getting delayed timesheets. The cutoff is not basically being followed, and that puts payroll team under pressure to have that processed before the weekend, and we need to ensure all timesheets, all hours are entered on next Monday, because our payday is on the following Tuesday. So if you delay your timesheets, you all know all hours payroll is basically processed by Margie and our team back in Fiji, and her name is Priyam. So you need to see at the beginning of the point, once delay is there, that will cause further more delays. And the team Fiji, the payroll team, they're not only preparing, there's not a person specifically assigned for PNG payroll. They look after all the companies that falls under JEX group of companies. So JEX of PNG is one of them. We have got JEX of JEX Retail Fiji. We have got JEX Manufacturing, we have got JEX Farm, we have got JEX Garment, we have got JEX Restaurant, and there are other minor sub-companies within our subsidiary companies. So we need to encounter this, and we need to ensure all our timesheets are sent on timely basis to the payroll team. So because the culture that we had before, we always need to ensure, because that's the culture we have set up now. All staffs are expecting their pay to be in their hands by Tuesday afternoon. And to ensure that no staffs go home disappointed on Tuesday, so we need to ensure that the initial delay is not being caused. So that's one of the thing. The other thing is manager's approval. The timesheet is done, admin has done the timesheet, the approval is not given on timely basis from retail manager, from operations manager. Now all the retail timesheets needs to be approved by the operations manager. It has to be approved. All the leaves. So basically, when operations manager is approving the timesheet, he has the full visibility of what's the attendance rate, which all staffs are present in that particular location, who is active, who is not active. And that needs to be approved by the operations manager before it is being forwarded to payroll. So what's currently happening is now timesheet is being prepared by admin, signed off by retail manager and sent out to payroll. So that part we are missing, that getting the approval from the operations manager. The other thing is, now if it is very effective, because I suppose all the locations have the biometric machine. And looking at the biometric report, I don't think so everybody is effectively using that machine. When you start your work, morning punch in, When you go out for lunch break, out, in, and then you knock off from the work. There should be 4 punch per day. But if you review the report, there is no full biometric report for each person. So basically we are violating that process. And now currently we are we have started up a project where biometric report will be integrated to Pronto and all timesheets will be processed automatically. There will be some manual work, but it will reduce a lot of manual effort. So that you need to ensure if you are not punching in and out, that will reflect in your timesheet and also impact your pay. For example, if you come into work 8 o'clock, you go out for lunch, you come in punch, but when you are knocking off from the day, you don't punch out. System doesn't know how many hours you have worked. And for some instance, you report to work but you don't punch in. You are late, you just rushed up to the work but you didn't punch in. So again, system doesn't know how many hours you have worked. So I'll just refresh and we'll go over and then we'll discuss group by group, basically what Maggie has discussed. So today we have covered our recruitment process, exit process, disciplinary procedures that basically we go through when poor attendance is there, performance issues are there, gross misconduct, and PMS structure that is effective from this year. It was there from previous years as well, but it was not being followed. And then now PMS, I'll brief on that again, the importance of it and how we use that to evaluate your performance. And the other one was timesheet, which we have majorly covered. So everyone well aligned with HR recruitment process? Anybody needs any clarification? See, one thing I'd like to highlight on this HR recruitment process, everywhere when we are doing our budgeting, all the locations give their manpower budgeting, that these are the particular number of staffs we need in your location. But at times what happens, we see we had a manpower budget, for example, for the shop Hagen, we had initially budgeted for 15 manpower, but now when the timesheets are coming, we are having 17 manpower. I'm not saying there is excess staff, but I'm just giving an example. We need to be mindful of what we have budgeted initially. Like we can always request for additional manpower, but that needs to be justified and come up with reasons why we need extra manpower. The other one which Maggie had discussed regarding termination. So I believe the last aspect which Maggie covered when the employee resigns or when the employee is terminated, retaining of the company properties, that is the ID, the company uniform, and all the other company belongings which is basically given to an employee for their day-to-day task. But what we see, we are not able to get that back from the employees once they are resigning or being terminated. Because that needs to be passed on, some of the belongings that needs to be passed on to the person who will be basically replacing you. One good example is mobile phone. It's very hard to retrieve. Business standards, I'll let you all go over this in detail. Our business standard, our key standards that we need to abide by. I suppose we have been discussing this over every workshop, but looking at some recent cases, I don't think so all the staffs are effectively abiding by our standards. So just to cover a few on this, employees considered to be representing the company outside of normal hours when attending a company organized function, representing the company at other functions, or while traveling on company business trips. that is for company, because you are representing the company. You are wearing that company uniform. You need to always abide by the JEX of PNG standard. Within the company, all personnel are expected, regardless of seniority, to show courtesy, respect, and understanding to all staff. So these are very major one. Regardless of what position you hold in the company, you always need to abide by our policies, respect, show courtesy, and always abide by the company policies and adapt to the JEX of PNG standard. All clear on that? So foul language, gesture are absolutely forbidden in the company. Consumption, possession, trafficking of drugs prohibited by law is forbidden on company premises. Again, the last one is alcohol. I'm sure no company allows alcohol during working hours or on the company premises. Any questions on this so far? Any group? So the disciplinary procedures, Maggie has gone step by step. What all we do, depending on the seriousness of the issue, what all we do. So if you are found in a theft, do you think we'll go through this informal action and coaching? Anyone? Miro, what do you think? Yes? No? No. Why?
So,
Yes? If you have done a theft, you will go through the personal coaching? Yes or no? Okay. So we need to always see the seriousness of the issue. That, see, Maggie has covered in this in very detail what all normally we go through. For example, if your attendance is poor, your performance is not getting there, then you'll go through this process where you'll be, first of all, you'll go through informal action, you'll go through coaching, with your manager, he'll give you motivations, he'll get more insights of your issue, why are you facing these issues, and how from, as a manager's perspective or probably a company's perspective, how we can motivate you and drive you towards what we want to achieve, towards the objective that we are working for, the company goal. And then still if we are not able to getting there, then we'll go through warning. That is, the verbal warning, don't assume that it's a verbal warning, then it's just a verbal. That becomes a official warning. It's really clearly stated there, formal but verbal. And then we go to the next step, that is written warning. That is now putting in writing that you are not performing up to the expectation, or these are the issues that you are currently, your manager is facing with yourself. It might be regarding your attendance, and if the issue continues, then we go to the final warning or suspension. And the last one is disciplinary hearing and meeting. What actions will be basically taken depending on the seriousness of the issue. So I'll just let you, I'll give you a few minutes to discuss on this in your groups. What are the challenges, or what you see currently is being practiced? Something that you have learned out of all this, the step-by-step process that we go through for each staff, or probably the staffs. And some of the other things, important key things that we picked up from this regarding the gross misconduct, that the list of things that comes under gross misconduct, that is very, very serious. It comes to a very critical level. So I'll give you 2 minutes to discuss amongst your group. And then if you have any suggestions, if you want to discuss the current challenges that you are facing amongst your team, amongst your staff. So this workshop training, it's gonna be a two-way communication. It's not about only sitting, listening, and basically observing what we are saying. It's gonna be a two-way communication. It's gonna be a training, taking feedbacks, basically more of group activities, and ensuring that what we are learning here today, it's getting into the books. All the best, Miro. If you need Bucha papers, see, it's not only about gross misconduct or discipline reactions. It can be anything regarding HR and payroll. It can be even timesheets as well. The challenges that you are facing with timesheets, if you are facing any challenges from administration side, payroll side, some good discussions happening around. So we'll have a group by group to come up and share their views, the challenges, and how we can improve as a company from payroll and administration. 2 more minutes, then we start our group presentation. Okay, so we start with the group 1, Timothy's group.
Hello. Morning, everyone. Okay, this is group 1. We are going to talk about recruitment process, overtime hours process, and contract signing. Yeah. So start with the recruitment process, which Robert's gonna discuss more about this.
Morning, team. Yes, a few our points that written upside down. It's supposed to be in there. Yeah. Yes, for the recruitment, the point that we came across is ensure all new staff needs to have a handbook. That's for the induction because mostly we don't have we never have proper induction when new recruitment has been sent to our shop. We haven't gone. Basically, we haven't have enough time for them with them to do proper induction before they've been sent to the shop that they are allocated to. So it will be much better if we have an induction, a notebook that we issue to each new staff when they are recruited, new employees, so that on their own time they can go through and know the procedures and policies for the company, so they can understand better, because during the induction period we don't have time to do proper induction with them. And that booklet will be part of the, if their contract has been terminated or they leave the company, it's the part of the items that supposed to be returned back before they leave the company. Thank you.
Okay. What Robert has mentioned, we have only one HR only, and there should be a small handbook that level. So in CPL, when you are hired, they issue a small handbook which all the policies and everything is mentioned in there. Even new staff can have his time to go through this small handbook to understand the company policy and all this. Yeah. This small book can be shipped to outer locations. When managers are hiring from there, they can also issue this small handbook instead, because we have the HR in here. Yeah. Overtime and overtime hours, our second point, Timothy can discuss on that one.
Thank you, Miro. Thank you, Robert. I'll be talking about the overtime hours. So, overtime hours, like what Maggie and Vinit have already highlighted earlier. So, all the overtime hours needs to be planned. So, like if in your timesheet, if there's more overtime hours, then that clearly indicates that you are not properly planned. That's why staffs, maybe they work overtime and then you want to pay them. All right. So overtime hours also, maybe some staffs also, maybe they are absent and then they want to claim hours and then they will want to work overtime. But this overtime hours, this overtime they work is not productive. Maybe it's due to maybe they just want to cover the hours and get paid. That's why they just stayed back, or especially in retail. Yes. So overtime hours needs to be also approved and then proceed. Thank you. Sorry, Sam will talking about contract signing. Like normally, if from CSA example, if CSA promoted to, there's one challenges from CSA promoted to a supervisor or a customer service manager, then contract needs to be signed immediately before the promotion. Yeah. Thank you.
Hello, team. Good day. All right, so I'll be talking about this contract signing, which was mentioned by Maggie and I think Vinit. So it's basically before the, like, if we're hiring someone new, they must sign a contract before, like, starting not that they start, like, after 3 days and then they sign the contract. Yeah. Or, like, for instance, after the, what do they call it? After the probation, yeah, probation ends, then 3 months, which is 3 months. So basically, after 3 months, there should already be a contract there, ready to be signed, and then he should proceed on to his new tasks. Or for example, if a staff has been promoted to supervisor or customer service manager, after 3 months, there should already be a contract there. Currently now, from my what should I say? Currently now, like example for me, I haven't signed anything yet. Yeah, so that's just one point that I wanted to raise in this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Group 1. Some good discussion and good points for us to review as well. Anyone has any questions on what they have just presented? Yes, you have anything? All good? Please go.
For the overtime. Overtime is basically just with overtime comes to payroll. Okay, usually the manager that we ask why waterfront timesheet is has more overtime. Is there any reason? So and then the operations manager question, why is more overtime? What's the reason? So for payroll side, our overtime must be approved by the operations manager, then the shop proceed with overtime. There's to be approved before, not after. Thank you.
Thank you, Maggie. Just one thing on that, when we are taking location's name, do not take it personally or we are targeting your location, just an example. Okay? So that doesn't mean there's too much overtime in waterfront and Timothy is not approving the overtime. It's not that. It's just that we are using that and then as an example. Thank you, Maggie. Any questions? Okay. Thank you, Group 1. Yeah, some valid points, and I agree what you have just shared. So we'll go back and we'll realign and discuss how we can ensure all staffs have a handbook. But and again on the contract signing part. So the contract that is given to the employees, that contract normally covers all the major key points. So that's on gross misconduct, performance, attendance, and abiding by and the key company policies they need to abide by. But I suppose employee handbook has a full details of what they need to do and what they can't be doing. So yeah, that is fair and valid, and we can look into this, Maggie, and we need to ensure all staffs are given a handbook. So is this
For the employee handbook, this is the small one that I have that. It's with me, but I don't know any others. So, but for in the drive, we have the soft copy there. I share the soft copy with all the shop managers. So you should check the drive, you will see the soft copy.
Thank you, Maggie. So so since the managers have this handbook, we can request them to print and has that ever refresher, or probably what we can do from our side as well, from backend we can reissue this handbook or reshare with all the employees as a refresher, so everybody is up to date with our standards and policies. And again on the contract signing part, that is, yeah, all employees need to sign that contract before starting the job, even when there's changes in their position. So yeah, we'll take note of that, and I'll keep that for myself for our review, how we can improvise our processes. Thank you, Group 1. Okay, Group 2.
Good morning, team. Okay, so from group 2, we discussed a couple of things, but we've put down 2 points on our here. Okay, so the first one is to do with the recruitment process. During the recruitment process, within the 3 months probation, can a manager let a new hire or new candidate go based on their performance within the after the first month or the second month, or just at the end of the third month of their employment? That's the question that we asked as well. And if there is a form in place to carry out the assessment during this period. The reason why I asked that question was because there's some team members where we keep them on board and they go past the probation period. We're not able to let them go after that, as per the labor laws. So it makes it difficult for team members or even managers to, in terms of assisting the team member to perform in terms of performance and all of that. So it's very critical that during that 3 months period, a proper assessment is done on the capability of the team member, whether the person is suited for that particular role that they've been hired for. So that's the reason I've asked on that process during the recruitment process. Okay, so Elizabeth will move on to the next point, and that's part of the disciplinary process.
Good morning, team. Okay, our question, group 2, the second question is on the disciplinary. As Maggie was going through, there's a question that popped in my mind about the verbal warning. There's something I picked up about coming in late. I'll specifically say in Copran. Each time we come in, and if we come past 8:30, either Les or Yogesh will always tell us time. When Maggie was going through the disciplinary part of the HR, this question popped in. How many times do a manager has to tell a staff or verbally tell you that you've been coming late? After how many times, and then you'll be issue a written warning? So that's one question. It's just a question that popped in my mind. Thank you.
Okay, I think on behalf of Maggie, I will answer that question. If I'm wrong, please correct me, Vinit and Maggie. On the verbal warning, I believe it has to be 3 times. Okay, can you answer? So as presented, we'll follow the same channel. So that is, staff has been coming late. You see regularly, they're coming late. So your respective manager, reporting manager, they will have a discussion. That's not a verbal warning. So they will do counseling and coaching, how we can work together and improvise this. And if there's a need, how we can work together to ensure you are not coming late. Or if need be, we need to reschedule your hours. We can probably from fixed to shift hours. And if it's not aligning with our operation, probably what are other ways we can look into, and how we can get this working together as a team. So that for corporate, that basically should be handled by Les, and if Les is there, if Les is not there, then it will be handled by Yogesh. So first we go through that counseling phase. You sit with the staff, discuss with them, motivate them, what's the issues that you are facing from company's perspective and as a manager, which we discussed in our last workshop, motivating staffs. How we can ensure feel motivated, they feel valued, and what are the other ways they can help the staff to ensure they come work on time. So that's the first part. And then despite that, discussing that, still we see the issue persists, then we go with the verbal warning. That's disciplinary. No matter how well you are performing, but if discipline is not right, then basically you are not abiding by the company policy, and then actions will be taken. So on that part, verbal When verbal warning is given, that's formal. That is formal, that yeah, your attendance, your late arrivals has been repetitive and it's out of the reach and going to a critical level, and now it's impacting overall team's performance. So there are cases where because of a few team members the performance is affected for the whole or the entire department or group. So in this case it could be corporate, or even it could be Wangani as well. So after that then we go through the written warning that sorry, we can't work like this, you are constantly coming late without any genuine reasons, or you are saying I woke up late, whatever the reasons are not genuine or not valid, and then we have to follow that normal HR process, the disciplinary process that we follow with all the staffs based on the seriousness of the issue.
Thank you. That's all for Group 2.
Thank you, Group 2. Group 3. Jared, Jerry.
Good morning, team. Okay, nice to see you all. You have a nice, nice faces here, so I'm very proud to stand here. My team, we're going to discuss, I think, 3 points, but the main one is recruiting process, which Vagi will come in. So please, Vagi, go ahead and explain the process that we, recruitment process, sorry. Yeah.
I thought they will ask me a question and I will answer, but since they are giving...
Oh, it's okay, I can go ahead, okay. Vagi, we just know 3 questions down, 3 or 4, I think, 4, 5, okay. One, when you try to recruit any applicant, we just normally, we don't just get staff or applicant in just for filling the gaps. So we get them basically to, because we need applicant to fill the vacant position, which they need to perform to our expectation. Yeah, so do you have anything to say about that when getting a new candidate in?
On that note, like what Jared have mentioned, getting people on board just not to fill in the gaps. So that's one of the key things we are experiencing already. So I believe most of the team members already have explained on this 4710 process, which we are failing from our hand, is all I will say. So what is happening, currently we overlooking that 4710, and at the end of the day, staffs are absenteeism, continuously going sick, MCs, they keep on providing in every pay ending. So I will start from the interview process. Okay, currently recruitment process. This is something which I did for my end and I always follow. First, when we are receiving the applications. Second, set interview dates and call, ask applications to come in for an interview. So the second, if we are looking for particular 5 team members and we have to call for 20 applications. Third, conduct interview with staff. See, this is also very important because when we are doing interview, this is something which we need to connect. If it's a CSA, we need to connect with this particular person and try to understand at the beginning. Next, candidates sent to recruitment team, which is, we don't have any, but we have Maggie, who is doing it. 5, recruitment team book applications for 2 days induction. We are not doing it, but we have it in the shop, which we do site induction when the team is on board. 6, recruitment team members sent for confirmation list to training list every Thursday. We don't have a particular date, but that's from my end. 7, training team gives out new hire forms, payroll, NESFAN, and all those forms. By looking at the manpower as overall, we have a huge list. And when we are sending everything to Maggie, just imagine how many workload she is doing in daily. To remove some of those pressures from her shoulders, we as managers has to take the lead on filling up these HR. Can be done by Maggie's side. From our side, we have to know how to fill in the NESFAN form. IRC form, we have to know this, how to fill in these forms to make it easier for Maggie to just work on the contract. Okay. 8, collect the complete forms and pass on to recruitment for processing. That's and 10, employer ID. The ID number which I have is 00254. That's my payroll number, which will be given by Maggie for pay. Yes, that's all we have prepared. Thank you.
Thank you, Vagi. I suppose there are a few more points to discuss.
Oh yeah, thank you so much, Vagi. As you can see, we have, I think Vagi go through everything yeah, for the recruitment process, but we have a few ones here, points where overlooking the steps and one-talk system, which comes in the form of bribery and invalid documents. That's where the valid points are. When HR trying to recruit any applicant, please try not to overlook all those things, because that's the core part of the recruiting employer taking new candidate in. If you overlook all these steps, then you will find that the performance inside the shop, it will tell the difference. Yeah, so I hope all these are clear, so that's all I think. Any questions apart from all these things?
Thank you, Jared and the team. Just looking at their points and with the warehouse, working in the warehouse, that's true. I come across most of the times when I ask, because I myself, Shamin, we go around and just chat with our staffs on a daily basis just to see if the performance not good. Sometimes I ask, you see group of boys, when you ask you are related to who, this, that, and I come across most of the boys, they are just close to other team leaders in here. It's good that we bring our family members, we bring our one talks that are staying really close to us. But we also have to look at the productivity of what they are going to bring to JEX. That is very important. We have to have someone that can make work really easy for all of us. If we bring one talks, it's really challenging. I've came across most of it. If I'm a brother, and if the manager is, you are frustrated with the manager, that's when you pass the information around, and everybody will be following you. You got me, and that's the bad apple that I'm talking about. So this point is really true, and when we are hiring, please, you have to also think of how this company is gonna grow, because I've been working with JEX. The company looks after me. I also look after my family, and that is something that we have to look into. The other invalid documents. Sometimes we know in our country now people are doing this. They scan these files, and then he don't have a grade 12 paper, grade 10 paper, and he just get a copy from someone, just changing the name only and bringing these documents. So recently, my big sister, she's employed with Money Plus, but they have to ask her for her original documents, which is a valid thing to do. So she has to provide her certificates, originals that she has to prove it to them before they hire her. So I'm pretty sure the steps are not being followed, but lies on HR. Yeah. Thank you. Very good points shared by this team. Thank you.
Thank you, Miro. Thanks for highlighting that. Yes, valid points. How we are hiring the new recruits? Are we hiring them just to help someone, a family member, to get a job, or we are hiring we are hiring the person to fulfill the job, or his responsibilities, roles, or is the right person to fill in the gap? Just for example, in a team, when you're having rugby team, you can't bring in anyone just to play for rugby. If he's not specialized or to play for that team, for that position, basically it will impact the whole team's performance. Yeah, so good valid points. I'll keep that, and we can always cross-check this during our recruitment process, Maggie. Thank you, Group 3. Team, anyone has any suggestions, any feedbacks, any more questions?
Can one of the managers explain us how provision periods work? Can one of the managers explain how provision periods work after recruitment?
Good day, team, once again. So I'll go stand in front. The probation period takes 3 months. It takes first month, which is the form is already been mentioned, 4710, that's the form we supposed to fill. So the probation takes 3 months. So in the first month, we have to do our assessments on the floor, ensure that this particular person is performing. And within that 3 months, there's no absenteeism. It has to be a full day present. Within that 3 months, if there's any medical certificate he is providing between that 3 months, they won't be paid. Second month also, and the third month also. For an example, I went through that when I was at Vicin City. Not one particular day I was absent. Just imagine 3 months I just worked, only my off days. And in the 3 months, I did not provide any MC because I have the deaconess. So I will say we are failing this one here. That's one of the reasons why we have absenteeism increasing in relocations, and we have team members giving additional, whenever they feel like coming to work, they come to work because this process is not followed. So this process is the key thing that will tell us that this particular person is capable, suitable for this role. So after these 3 months, all these forms needs to be filled and sent to Maggie, advising Maggie that this person is suitable for this role, and she can put that person on permanent. In that 3 months, that particular team member is as a casual. But if we think that this particular person, there's some differences we are seeing in this particular person, and we want to give him an additional month, that's still additional. Extend. Yes. So thank you.
Tim, it's an important question that Yogesh has asked. I'm not sure if you are really clear about what happens in the probation period. So when you hire a team member, you hire for 2 things. One is the attributes. The other thing is basically his technical skills. Most of the time, we hire team members with very fresh knowledge or with limited experiences because our standard is very different. So you test their attributes. So when you test their attributes, that's when they start work, you have got 3 months to test their attributes. But it doesn't mean you have to hold the whole 3 months. So that 3 months is given, just ensure that within that 3 months start work, you have got 3 months to test their attributes. But it doesn't mean you have to hold the whole 3 months. So that 3 months is given, just ensure that within that 3 months, that 3 months doesn't mean that you have to wait for 3 months. If you hire a new recruit and within a week you find that there's challenges with that new recruit, instantly you can end within that 1 week time. But you need to give your formal letter and say, sorry, within first week of employment, we have faced high absenteeism and we cannot continue. You consult HR and they would help you draft the letter and you execute it. You can't just send it without any letter, right? You have to, there's an agreement in place, there's a contract in place. You have to formally disengage that contract. Suppose 6 months later that employee comes back and says, I was asked to go home, but no explanation given, how are you going to prove it? Right? So remember, that's where contract comes in, right? We are signing a contract, we are in an engagement. Now suppose when the employee starts and you are not happy and you want to end the relationship, you have to give a formal letter, one to her or him and one for your records. And you have formally ended your obligation. And anytime anyone comes in, you'll have that in your file and you'll have the reasons provided. Now the next one is extension of probation. Right? You will not extend probation for person who has been facing absenteeism issues, punctuality issues, not focused, casual. You will not give extension for that reason. You will get extension if all those attributes is there, but you feel that the employee has the capacity and the learning curve has been a bit slow, you would want to give some additional time to see if that employee picks up the skills. So you will give that extension of time. But with main core attribute issues, you will not give extension. You will not say someone, so that's where we get carried away. So we talked about emotional intelligence. In leadership, that becomes very important. I can share you a text message I received from an employee in Fiji who was asked to end employment on the basis of high absenteeism. And the employee then sends to me, because when I'm on the floor like here, I'm connected to all the team members. So the employee drafted a message to me last week and said, I've been asked to go home because of my high absenteeism, and the emotional thing started. I'm not able to come to work because of these things. I'm facing these issues. Now if I don't have work, how I'm going to feed my children? So we get emotionally carried away, you know. But management requires high level of emotional intelligence, you know. So that requires to say, no, we have already done our part. So I responded to the employee saying that while I acknowledge, but I'm sorry, I was not able to do anything in this situation because I believe you have been given enough notice to correct yourself, and you have not been able to correct yourself. That's where the termination is coming. You know, you have already been given to written notice saying that you need to seriously look at it. So if you would have, what you are saying now, you'll move closer to the location, you'll be more prompt to work, you'll take care of your health, that should have started when the first warning letter was given, not on the final warning letter. I said, sorry, I will not be able to do much in this situation, you know. So that requires emotional intelligence, because the moment you'll start to get carried away with emotion, the emotions you put in, how I'm going to feed my kids, you know, I'm going to look after my family, I don't have any income. But that she should have thought about that when the first warning was given, not when it's the case of termination. So team, that's very critical, you know. We need to have high level of emotional intelligence. We need to say, we have done our part, right? The employee has not been able to correct and align things, and now I have to take my action. No further extension. That's a very critical thing, you know. So go by it, think about it, understand probation period, you know. It gives you flexibility in that period to end employment with just one notice. Once you confirm employment, once you confirm employment and the employee becomes permanent, then you have to give 3 written notice to terminate. You'll only be able to terminate on the 3rd notice. So when you confirm permanent, as Bagi said, no absenteeism during the probation period. Some people come like that. You know, you'll go and look at records. Some people in the probation period, no absenteeism. As soon as you confirm, absenteeism. I don't know where they start to get the sickness from, you know. I haven't taken sick leave. In my 20 years of work, I only have taken sick leave 2 times, and that sick leave was not a day or so. So one, I have chicken pox, and the other time it was the COVID period, and after Christmas, I got sick for about 4 days, you know. But I don't know, this sickness, every Monday sickness, every Tuesday sickness, whether it's time sickness, I don't know where it comes from, you know. So, so as soon as you confirm permanent, employee starts to get sick, which was not there in the first 3 months. So if you have to now take a call, you have to give 3 notices. So that's where this becomes critical. You have a discussion, you tell your HR, you give notice 1. You have discussion, you tell your HR, you give notice 2. You need to keep your records updated, because when you know that when it's time to take action, you should take action. It's not that you have just discussions and now you are sort of tired of having discussions, you say, I want to send him or her. But you can't, because you don't have written notices. You know, so you have to align your physical workflow with your back-end administration, so that when it's time to end the relationship, you are compliant with the requirements. You know? Otherwise, Maggie will get headache. You know? Okay, team, so this is critical. Take time to understand it and align with your management processes. That's critical. Finish? Okay. Question answer finish? Yeah, I need 5 minutes.
Team, any questions, any feedback on what we had discussed?
Just a question, because I was actually messaged regarding this casual staffs recruited during the busy period about overtime. I sort of like answered the question from my end only. So I said these casual staffs are not entitled to overtime, because some of the casual staffs came and said, oh, we were told to work from this time to this time and we were not paid. So maybe probably, I don't know if I did the wrong thing or right thing, but I just want to like try to understand it.
So for casuals, if they do overtime, they should be paid overtime. Yeah. That's the labor law. So we had encountered issues in terms of that regarding overtime for casual staffs, and that was last PP as well, and before that PP as well. So, but we did amendments from our side, back end, and we processed the overtime pay. The timesheets that we received, it was only normal hours. They were so the extra hours they worked, it wasn't filled as overtime. But from our calculations, what we did, whatever our normal hours was there, we paid the normal hours, and for the overtime, we paid the overtime. So though their timesheet, in your timesheet, it will say that these are the total hours, paying as normal time, but if you refer to their pay slips, they are paid overtime. So from back end, those are the checks we do. We need to ensure we are fair to all the staffs and abide by the labor law and the company law. Thank you, Deborah.
Just regarding the overtime, is the casuals been paid like from the normal hours, or they're paid from the overtime hours? Like a casual overtime is like half of it plus the normal rate, and the normal rate is just the straight. So if we have done like 5 hours OT, is it paid? Is a casual, so is it paid for his OT is paid from the normal hours, or it will be a time and a half? Yeah.
Overtime, it says time and a half, and when it kicks in over double time, we need to abide by that. So we pay them time and a half. So it all come back to how you manage members, their hours. I know which staff is on which rate, whether you need them from that particular to that particular hours. For the casual staffs, I know we hire them for busy periods, but we need to ensure that they are utilized on the right basis.
Just one point I'd like to share for provision. Like provision period is not a process, it's a two-way process. It's not only we going to monitor.
Thank you, Ashish. Anyone else? Any questions?
My question is this BioPlus, which you have mentioned that BioPlus, when every location are sending their timesheet, the BioPlus summary has to go with the PP handing. So on this, for our location, Vision City, I will say the current BioPlus doesn't have connect with this Pronto thing, I believe. So
that project had just started. We are just starting off with the head office, that integration, biometric integration with the Pronto. So that project has just started, and we're starting off with the head office, and then we'll go to warehouse, and then we'll implement in other locations. So the current biometric machine we have, so the report, what I'm saying is, all the staffs need to use that biometric machine. If you are using parallel biometric as well as manual, that is fine. But if you refer to the biometric report and if you match against the manual timesheet, it's not matching. So that means staffs are not using the biometric machine, and you can always easily play up with the manual timesheet. You can come in at 9, but you sign in at 8. And even your manager, it's a human error, your manager can even sign, yes, you have arrived in at 8, but actually you arrived at 9. You are getting that 1 hour extra. So that's the risk there. And that's why we have biometric machine in all the locations. So once we start up this project and once it is fully implemented, it will be a server based, and payroll will be able to generate biometric reports for all the locations straight from the head office. So that will ease a lot of our works, and one thing I can see, it will bring up a lot of questions to the managers, and it might cause an issue as well. So we'll have the training phase. Ensure you need to advise your staff to use the biometric machine for all their in and out, reporting to work, going out for lunch, coming back from lunch, and knocking off. And the hours will be calculated by the system. And there will be scenarios when we need to do some manual adjustments. For example, taking example of our marketing officer here in PNG, Joseph, even for corporate as well. At times what happens, they go out for business trips to outer stations. They do not come to work to punch in, then they go to airport and then travel to outer station. But in those scenarios we can always consider manual hours. But that also again needs to be correct and justified and approved by your reporting managers. All clear on biometric? Any more questions?
Thank you, Vinit and Maggie. Just a challenge that we faced last time was there's two casual that we had in warehouse. The last time when the people closed and the staffs are getting their pay, both of them haven't been paid for their overtime. And from my understanding, I explained to them that that time I haven't come to this training, so I haven't have the concept of this overtime. So what I explained to them, I said for the permanent staff, they will pay the time and a half. But then I knew that what I just told them, I was wrong. Actually, the casual are supposed to be paid the overtime, and they're entitled to pay. So probably when I went back, I just admit to them that that's the explanation at that time was wrong. So probably the next PP, the time that they were not paid, I mean the hours that they are not paid, will include in the next PP, so they will be paid. Thank you.
So if you are not sure, you should ask your manager, I mean, you should go to your manager and say, I've got a query that the staffs are asking if casuals should be paying overtime. And then your manager should be able to guide you, and the managers should know that, because it's not good to basically assume and tell team members of something which is not correct. So that goes to everyone. I mean, if you're not sure of something, it's better to ask. It's okay to say, sorry, I'll get back to you. I'll have to just check. I'm not fully aware of it. So as you learn in management processes, in management role, you learn these kind of things, and when the query comes, but your manager should be aware. And even if the manager is not aware, then he knows where to ask. You'll call Maggie and ask, and she is aware of that. Team will running out of time, so we'll just take a last update, because we'll need to keep the session on time. We've got a long day to go.
Any more questions? Oh, yes, Maggie.
Okay, for casual, for Shamim's case, the one that is questioning is there for 3 months, the flexi. So in Fiji, how do we pay the flexi? Overtime or just straight full hours?
So So it's not about Fiji or PNG, right? So we need to abide by the labor law. So if labor law says we need to pay them overtime, that means we need to pay them overtime. It's not about adaptive to company policy. So labor law, it's very critical and we need to abide by the labor law. It's not about depending on which country. Doesn't mean payroll is processed in Fiji and we're going to follow the Fiji law. We need to abide by the PNG law. All good? So if you are facing any issues regarding payroll, Mag is always there, and if Mag is not there, I can always contact myself and I can.
Okay, thank you, Tim. We'll close session 1. Just before we go on break, so this is an important session. It's to do with our team members. So that's how we have structured the session. The first was to look at things that we need to know about our team, and how we can basically plan ourselves and ensure that we are administering anything or any matters related to our team in the right way. See, from our company culture, we are not going to do anything which is not right. If the labor law says we have to pay overtime, we have to pay overtime. You make a team member work 1 hour, we have to pay overtime. There's no choice. We don't come up with our own rules. We run by the rules and the legislations that's in. And from the company perspective, we will not compromise that. And in any management team members who are not following the required role, it's basically a gross misconduct. It's a company policy to say that we need to abide by all the required legislations. And if sometimes we do have management team coming up with their own rules, there's no such things of that when it comes to dealing with people. We have to follow the rules, the legislations, and the company policy. And all company policy is aligned to the legislation. So team, we have to follow and do what is right. So that's one. And two is, see, I've seen in management, I still go into shops and I still there. Still get that observations coming through is, from management, we are not prioritizing our team members. We just get into our routines. We have to tell ourselves that the team that's down there, we are responsible for them. We need to plan our day. We need to plan what we need to do. If we have called a team member for interview, we need to make ourselves available. I have seen team members call for interview, but waiting for hours for the interview to be conducted. What first impression are we setting about our culture? So they are our most important resource that we manage. And if they don't have the right understanding, if they don't have the right appreciation, and if they don't have the right value, then they'll never be working with their heart. So how in our day-to-day we prioritize? So when you plan for your day, that's another big challenge we have. I've seen most of the managers don't have a plan for the day. They just have the day run them. In management role team, we need to have a plan. We need to come with a plan. We need to see what's tomorrow and how you're going to run tomorrow. If you see a team member not happy, becomes priority. When do you go and talk to that team member? When do you know that what's the issue and how we can support? See, I will not take much of our time, but something we need to reflect on is, they are our resource. How do we follow the right processes? How do we plan for the day? And how do we prioritize our team? That should be the first thing on our list. And how do we sort of do things which is to motivate them and show them the growth path? That's our responsibility. That's why we are managers and leaders. And if you have 10 team members, but you have not planned for them, you are not looking after them well, then they'll work and deliver as what 5 team members can do. Giving a helping hand. When your team members are busy doing work, I see very few managers getting hands-on with team members, starting from the top. There's an opportunity, we would be standing. We don't see a need that here, if I give a hand to the team member, one is the work would be done, The other is the appreciation the team members would have, the value the team members would have. But it has to come from the heart. It's not that, oh, Avi has now sent it, from tomorrow I'll see a team member in need, I'll go and do it. So these things come. And believe it or not, when you work with your team members, when you go down to their level and when you support them, they'll give their best. They'll give 100%. How we can change this culture, how we can take our management head out when we are with our team and we become one of them. We work with them. Okay, team, so leaving here, go on your breaks. Remember, this is a training session. It's an investment that the company is making to upskill you people. Even on breaks, if you are not sure about anything, you are still confused, you ask. There is a gender recap session you ask. There is a gender for an hour which I'd be hosting. If you still are not clear, put that note down, and discuss in that session. I'll give you an opportunity to talk about it. But when you go out of this session today, you should be very clear about what our processes are, what our policies are, what we need to do in this particular situation. And then you need to go and upskill your team members. Your HODs, your supervisors, your admins, they should know about it. And we should take time out to upskill them. Okay, team? Even in breaks, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. As I've said, it's a training session. We are here with an objective. When we leave this training session, we should be going out with much better preparedness, with much better clarity of what needs to be done. And even if then you are not sure, don't give responses with assumption. Always ask. And there is someone who would guide you. Okay, team? Thank you. So now we'll break formally for session 1. And we'll take break. I've taken 10 minutes of your time, so we have 20 minutes remaining. We'll start the next session at 10:30. Thank you.